Hi, my name is Ravi Mistry. I'm a photographer and my primary interest is in landscape photography. So we're going to be talking about how can we improve landscape photography using certain tools and certain techniques today. Okay. So first of all, if we talk about landscape photography, there are certain techniques we want to know beforehand. So let me start by sharing my screen first, and you have some idea what I shoot. So these are just some of the photographs I have worked with so far. This is very latest from a very recent uh, tour or trip or expedition, whatever you call it. Now we're going to be talking about some of these photographs. How did I achieve what techniques did I use? How did I plan that specific shoot? So things like those. Okay. Um, First thing first, you want to make sure that what camera, what system you use. Mainly, it is very advisable to use something lighter, but something with a very good quality. So if you go very light, you will have a smaller sensor cameras like Micro Four Third or something like APS-C cameras. But the drawback with those cameras, you will not have the information, the color depth. So, and if you go really big, like a medium format cameras, you will not have um, flexibility with the size, flexibility with mobility. So in those cases, you want to have a proper sweet spot of a camera, like let's say a full frame. So I personally use Nikon Z7, which is a mirrorless full frame camera. And I would like to carry very small lenses. So let's uh, understand lenses first. There are two types of lenses. You have zoom lenses and then you have prime lenses. So zoom lenses are quite flexible, while prime lenses are not so flexible when it comes to focal length. So you have very specific focal length, but the benefit with those fixed lenses, you will have wide open apertures and the quality is slightly better than the professional grade zoom lenses. So let me show you my system very quickly. So this is the camera I use. This is a Nikon Z7, and as you can see there, it is attached with 24-70 f2.8 zoom lens. Now, this is the most used lens. This is the most used focal length. I have also another 24-70 f4 lens, which is even lighter and smaller in comparison, but it has a smaller aperture, which is f4 compared to 2.8 on this. Now, the reason I use is the flexibility of the focal range. I have wider, which is 24, and I can go all the way to 70. And while doing that, my lens diameter, the filter diameter, will remain exactly same. And if I want to go further, I can always have a 70-200 zoom lens. So with that, you have a 24 to all the way 200 range covered. So next thing we want to see is you can use lots of different filters. So where does filter help? Let me open a photo. So as you can see, let me share that first. So in this photo, this is the photograph shot in a broad daylight. Now with the broad daylight, the only problem is you don't have enough longer shutter speed. So how do we achieve that longer shutter speed in a broad daylight? So you can use a filter like this. Now this particular is a B plus W 10-stop neutral density filters. If you don't know what neutral density filter is, it is basically a sunglasses for your camera. Okay, so it just cuts the light, nothing more than that. The other thing it will do is it will allow you to go really longer shutter speeds. Meaning you can have anything in motion, let's say clouds, you have water body, anything like that, you can have everything in motion, which is completely blurred out. So let me go ahead and show you those examples. So right here, again, you will have all the water body in motion as well as clouds. So using neutral density filters, it'll be helpful to reduce your shutter speed. Now, there are another type of neutral density filters available in the market as well, which is called gradient neutral density filters. Those filters function very differently. And where do they work? So those filters are something you can attach on your camera. So this is a holder system for gradient neutral density filters. So this is a holder and it will take a piece of glass right on top of it. So this one particularly, this is a cocaine filter system, and this is straight away high transition 3-stop neutral density filter, or ND8, as you can see. And here I'm simply sliding into my holder system. You can unlock that and there you go. So this goes directly in front of your lens. Now your lenses will vary a lot, so to make that smoother you will have multiple step-up rings. Okay. Now how do you use that? So let me share you more examples for this. I'm going to open a very simple 3 photographs, which will actually cover the variety of situation. All right. So in this case, as you can see, there is a lot of bright lights happening from the left side. So how do I control it? I can simply put this in front of my lens and I rotate it. So that way I can control left top part of my camera properly. And I can always slide up and down to adjust its exact position. Okay. And the next one, I have controlled the sky in a way that I can see star trails. I can see a nice blue tone of the sky as well. You can always add one more filter to the stack. So let me stop sharing for a second. So here we already have one filter. We can always go ahead and add another filter to it, and we can make a stack of it. So that way you have tremendous level of control over exposure in certain areas in your landscape. Now, as you might ask, why it is important to use physical filters when you have gradient filters available in Lightroom or Photoshop or Capture One, whatever software you use, they do have it. So keep in mind, when you actually edit those photos, you are modifying those pixels, and pixels will have only certain potential. After that, they will start deteriorating. So you want to use your pixels at most capacity. So without deteriorating, if you want the best quality photographs, this is the way to go. There is no work around it. Next filter we want to talk about is circular polarizing filter. The circular polarizing filter is again a filter that will attach on your camera and it will have a capability to rotate. So it has a two parts. One is fixed with your camera lens and the other part you can actually rotate. Right? So let's go ahead and look at those examples very quickly. First of all, what does a circular polarizing filter will do? So let me pull out a couple of examples, which will make a lot more sense. So as you can see, it will have the certain light which is reflected at 33-degree angle will be cut off completely. So that way you can control sky, you can control reflected areas like in water, or any reflective glass or any reflective material like highly reflective floors as well. So this filter is something so much important that this effect you cannot replicate into any kind of post-production. So this is one of the must-have filters for landscape photographers. So what it will do three things mainly. One, it will improve on your saturation. So you will have very, very nice saturation. Number two, it will darken the sky. So you will have very, very deep blue skies. And number three, you will have areas which is heavily reflected can be controlled using this filter. Okay, it will have a couple of stop cut down, but it will be very, very helpful. Okay, so as far as the filter go, there is one more I would like to use all the time when I'm shooting black and white especially, which is a red filter. As you can see, this is a pure red filter. It's nothing more to it. So how does that gonna help? So let me pull out a couple of black and white examples for that. Okay, so here you can see this photograph has heavily deep blue skies, I mean blue in the sense very, very dark skies. And you will have heavily induced like a deep contrast over here as well. So what this filter will do, it will only let red light or red spectrum, red visual spectrum through the lens. So on your sensor, everything will be red. So red will be heavily exposed and complementary colors like blue will not be exposed that much. So that way you will have very, very high contrast, deep uh, blue photographs. Sorry, deep blue in black and white. So this is, again, if you are into black and white, this is one filter you want to use. You can replicate the same effect in Photoshop or Lightroom, but the problem with Photoshop and Lightroom is you will have a certain white colored fringe happening at a very contrasty areas where the black and white are separating. So if you want a really true and nice effect, this is the filter you want to get. Okay. Okay, next most important thing when it comes to landscape photography is your tripod. So this is a tripod we use. This is a carbon fiber tripod. You will have different material tripod available as well. This particular one is a ball head. So if you're a landscape photographer, you cannot use a three-way system like a pan and tilt and stuff like that. You want to have a complete free control. So any ball head will have complete free motion, as you can see. So that will allow you to do lots of things. It will allow you to have very specific angles, very free motion of the control. Plus they are very lightweight compared to others and they are small in size. Okay. So you want to get a proper head for your tripod. Mainly ball head is the best option you have. The other thing is the legs. So legs you want to get, the cheaper ones are usually aluminum. You want to invest more on a good tripod and get a carbon fiber. So they are light and they're very, very sturdy. Now, if you have good cameras, you have put so much money into your camera, so you want to put it on something which is more reliable. So always, always invest in a good tripod. And the very last accessories, one of the essentials I want to share with you guys is the L bracket. So as you can see on this camera, there is a bracket system attached. What this will allow me to do, whenever I want to shoot portrait orientation, I don't have to rotate my head with the camera. My head remains straight, and what it will do, this will be removed completely, and I just have to rotate and put my camera vertically. So without changing anything, I can just go ahead and do this. Okay. Now this is a Arca Swiss fitting. You can have different brands will have different kind of fitting for your head. So it depends what brand you use, but this is one of the must-have accessories for landscape photographers. And this will help you to make a good panoramas as well, because you are not tilting your tripod head at all. Your tripod head remains straight. So these are a few of the accessories. Now let's talk about the planning. So when you're planning, you want to make sure you use good applications, such as I personally use photo pills. So let me go ahead and demonstrate that as well. Okay. All right. So as you can see, this is my phone screen. I'll just go ahead and open the application. So here, there are a lot of things you can actually plan. You have a whole planner system. So you will have a map, you will have a trajectories, you will have your sun's trajectory as well as the moon trajectory. You can have your exposures measure. You will have your moon cycles. You will have your sun cycle as well. You can calculate your depth of field, okay, and field of view. So there are lots of possibilities. Let's say if you're shooting star trails, so it will allow you to adjust a lot of other things, like what angle do you want, how long your exposure is supposed to be to have certain trails. So if you open your exposure, let's say facing north, at 1 hour and 30 seconds, you will have this much of star trails. So it's really interesting. You can have your night AR as well. So it will show you everything in real time. Okay. So when planning, you will have to use applications like this. You can always, read lots of blogs and everything, all the details from tourism or any location specific services. You can pick up, okay, what time you want to reach there. Usually when shooting landscapes, storms are a good idea. Bad weather is always producing good photos. So, of course you want to be safe and careful, but usually bad weather is a good idea for landscape photographs. That's where you will see lots of color drama, lots of cloud action. Okay. And obviously you want to apply your basic photography knowledge, like composition. You want to make sure you understand exposure triangle. So you want to make sure that you're shooting in raw, not only JPEG, so you can go ahead and post produce your photographs later on. So yeah, those are the basic tips for landscape photography. Hope you have learned something out of it. Hope you enjoyed this session. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to learn more when it comes to photography. Thank you.